Hello, welcome, my lovely viewers. It's been a great time. All right, so one of my viewers sent a question, so I would attempt that question today. So he sought to find out how come we have a lot of chieftaincy litigation in all the courts, from our traditional councils to regional house of chiefs, the national house, even in our other courts such as the High Court or even the Supreme Court. We have a lot of chieftaincy related litigation across all the courts in Ghana. All right, so I have two main issues to tackle in relation to chieftaincy litigation in Ghana. The first one is our inability to codify or to formally write down family genealogy or family tree. Hitherto, in the olden days, we could all tell who family members are. You can tell that, okay, this person is the head of the family and these are his children, or these are his lineage, and the other person, and all these people form part of the royal family. But as the family grows, as we all grow, the genealogy becomes very complex and we don't have those original family studies for us to trace back to them. So our inability to write down or have a very formal family tree that is maybe documented properly, everybody are sent to read that, no family member is taken out, or those who do not belong to the family are not included in it, then we are good to go. So I encourage every royal family to take a step to formally write down all they can involve a lawyer or whoever they feel to formally document their family tree, or what we would usually call genealogy. All right, so that said, this also relates to my second point why we have a lot of chieftaincy litigation, which is the definition of who a chief is in Ghana. We've always glossed over or overlooked the definition of a chief in Ghana. And if you want to trace back to see if all the boxes of who a chief is have been ticked, then we shouldn't have a lot of family chieftaincy litigation. So Section 57 of the Chieftaincy Act, Act 759 of 2008, defines a chief as a person hailing from the appropriate family or lineage. So the key word is the person hailing from the appropriate family or lineage. So if we are able to document, to trace that, okay, is this person actually hailing from the appropriate family or lineage, then we solved a part of it. And it continues, who has been validly nominated. So before we even go into that, for you to be nominated, then there should be a vacancy, that the stool you want to occupy or the office you want to occupy is actually vacant. And the Chieftaincy Act also tells us how a stool becomes vacant. The usual one that we always experience is the formal or the natural way of death, where the chief that was occupying the stool has passed on or has joined the ancestors. Then there is a need to replace the deceased chief. We also have abdication. Maybe the chief is of age or ailment or any other natural means, and the chief cannot continue the work, so he decides to abdicate or to leave the stool for a stronger person or someone else to continue. We also have what we call distillment, and that also follows a formal way of distilling. I'm sure one in my next video, one of the next videos that you'll be watching, would deal just on how chiefs get distilled, or the formal process of getting a chief distilled. So after the stool becomes vacant, then we are able to get someone nominated. And the nomination comes in this way, that the stool is vacant. All the royal people who are qualified or who can ascend the stool get nominated. Usually some stools have different gates that could occupy their stools, maybe 3 gates, 4 gates, 5 gates. Some gates could even go as far as 9 gates. Usually, I'll also go later into how some of these gates get generated. Usually, the first family of the actual occupant, whether it's a matrilineal or patrilineal, determines the gate. So if it is patrilineal, so maybe the first children of the first person to occupy the stool, the male children become, the number of male children become the gate, and for the female, the first females of the first person to occupy the stool through the mother line also determine the number of females, also determine the number of gates for a matrilineal stool. So then if we have 4 or 5 people, then they all get nominated. Usually they'll do some sort of vetting or underground digging or investigations into the lives of all the nominees. They could have 4, 5, 6 people. Then we have the king makers coming in to select that person. Sometimes the family would want to do their own selection. So among the 4 people, they'll do it, and then the queen mother or the chief, depending on the inheritance system we have, would say, okay, this person becomes the actual person that I want to occupy. So after the nomination of all the those people who could occupy the stool, one out of them is selected. After the person is selected, before he is installed, based on the custom of those from the southern side of Ghana, from the Middle Belt to southern side of Ghana, or skinned from the northern part of Ghana. The northern part, their emblem is not the stool, but rather a skin of an animal. So we call it enskinment from the northern side of Ghana. And it is enstoolment from the southern side of Ghana, since we use stools. So the person is enskinned or enstooled or even installed, for generalized word, according to the custom of the people. So if 2 people are claiming, for instance, claiming to be the main occupant of the stool, now we ask, are all these 2 people royal family members? Are they original members or people who can occupy the stool? If they are all, okay, were they all nominated? Yes. Then who got selected among these nominees? Did they follow the right procedure for nomination, for selection, and who was installed? So this is the process that we can use to determine. So if you're able to follow the definition of a chief, which I'll repeat again, a chief is a person hailing from the appropriate family or lineage, has been validly nominated, selected, and installed or enskinned or even installed according to the custom and usage of the people. So if we are able to follow all this process diligently, validly, according to our custom and even with reference to our laws, then we should have minimal chieftaincy related litigation. Sometimes growing up, or maybe in our typical traditional settings, royal families also get people infiltrating into the family. Maybe you have some servants that were living with the royal family, and some of the children of these servants, in quotes, also grew up working hard, lived with some of these royal members, and some even become more industrious and prosperous than the real royals. So some of them, people may not even know, if you are not told that this person is not a blood lineage, this person, you may not even believe that he is not, because they've all gone to school, did everything together. But that person, despite all that, is not a royal. Is the bloodline does not run through that particular person, so cannot occupy the stool. But sometimes we have the cases where some of these people also infiltrate into the lineage. That's why I said earlier in my opinion that we actually need to document to know, okay, this is the person who started this royal family, Ohima Efiedua, or this queen mother, and these are her 3 female daughters or 4 female daughters, and these are the people that they also gave birth to, and you could trace the lineage. Or this is Togbe Sasraku, and these are his male children, and these are the other male family members who also follow that lineage, for us to be able to tell exactly who are actual royal members. Thank you very much for watching. Keep sending your questions, and yours may be the next one to be answered to deal into chieftaincy related matters. Once again, make sure you click on the subscribe button, and see you in my next segment. Your question will be the one to be answered. Bye.